The seventh host of Oklahoma Gardening was Steve Dobbs. Steve hosted the program from 1990 to 1995. Well, we thought you might be curious as to what Steve was up to these days. So we've tracked him down and we've come all the way over to Arkansas, to the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith, where we find Steve. Hey, Steve.
How's it going? Welcome.
Good. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
So, Steve, what have you been up to in the last 10 years?
Well, you know, when I first left the show, I moved back to my family farm over near Sallisaw in Sequoyah County, and actually I still live there. Married, have 2 kids, and we started a small greenhouse business called Morningstar Farms, and did that about 7 years. Got to work a little more on my writing and quite a few books and some columns and articles and things like that. And then, you know, just recently, about 3 years ago, moved here with work, at least, to University of Arkansas, Fort Smith.
All right. And the books that you had been working on, I know I have the Oklahoma Gardener's Guide.
Right.
And you've been busy since then, writing some more?
Yes, I brought some along to kind of show you. The first one was the Oklahoma Gardener's Guide.
Great
I think
resource.
that one was published in '99. And then just this year we did a revision of that one, just full color, a few more chapters, more plants, and it's just a prettier, showier book, but detailed information still on different plant entries, and like I say, a couple of new chapters. And that one just came out this spring. And then in between those two, I did a couple of books, well actually 10 for 10 different states on a lawn series, and it's the Perfect Oklahoma Lawn, and then there's the Perfect Arkansas Lawn, and the Perfect Florida Lawn.
All right, all by Steve Dobbs.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a lot of writing, great experience to actually put on paper what I've been, you know, talking about for several years.
Outstanding. And the new revised edition here has all the information of the first one plus plus a little bit more.
Exactly.
Okay.
A couple of new chapters too.
Okay, great. I'll have to make sure I pick that one up.
Good.
Okay. Well, here at the University of Arkansas Fort Smith, what all are you doing here?
Well, the campus, like I said, I've been here about 3.5 years. Started out as director of grounds and landscaping, and we have 127 acres that we're responsible for.
Wow. Part
of that is, you know, sidewalks and parking lots and buildings, but we have 40 acres of turf grass, about a half acre of color beds that we change out each year.
Okay.
And then we have, probably 2 acres of landscape. And then it's continually changing. You know, we're converting to more landscape. But in essence, we design and plant color out, take care of the grounds, make sure it's a nice, appealing campus, you know, for the students especially.
Okay. And this particular area where we are right now, what do you call this area?
Well, this is kind of the heart of the campus, and we refer to it as the green, lovingly the green, mainly because there's 4 huge areas of turf grass that are about each the size of a football field, and it's zoysia grass, kind of high maintenance. Challenges with it, you know, it's in a low area, poor drainage. I mean, all the things that we dealt with kind of as homeowners, as a consumer horticulturist, but on a larger scale.
Sure.
And then we've got willow oaks that surround it, and of course the beautiful bell tower is the very center of it, and we have a plaza. That's where a lot of the student activities go on, and concerts, that type of thing. And in the very center is a formal parterre garden, outlined with dwarf Yopon hollies, of all things.
Well, those are definitely attractive, and gives you some nice evergreen color. And how often do you have to prune these?
Well, as you can imagine, there's quite a bit of labor to them as far as the pruning. It takes almost a week, depending on how much help we get, but usually 2 times a year. And initially when I came, the typical problem, you know, is wanting to do hedges straight up and down. So we've got that nice slope at the base, so it's wider. But 2 times a year, and just out of curiosity, the staff love this, but we have almost a half mile of dwarf Yopons just in this area.
Just in this area, wow.
So it's pretty time consuming, but it is beautiful, very formal.
It's very attractive.
Look to it.
And you guys do a different color scheme every year in here?
Yes, we change color out 2 times a year. We have our, you know, late spring, early summer planting, which goes up into the fall, and then we pull it out in September and plant fall mums. About 5,500 fall mums. It's probably in the ground 6 weeks. It's traffic stopping color. But now we have the summer color in, and we have a color scheme this year of chartreuse and kind of a rosy pink color.
It looks outstanding, and I see you've got some of the margarita.
That's right.
Sweet potatoes and some periwinkles. You've got some coleus giving us some color there, and several other plants in the area. Which coleus are we looking at here,
This
Steve?
is a new one that was just out this year called the flume. It kind of reminds me of the old duck's foot type coleus, but not as lobed. But it's compact. It's held its color really well. And the neat thing about the periwinkle, you know, that's a very common plant, but we've got the taller Pacifica series and then the low-growing Mediterranean series. And that's one of our favorite ones because we don't want the plants to be too tall, so it actually spreads as a ground cover almost 3 feet wide just in one growing season.
Those are very attractive. Well, there are some really neat features in this area. I like across the road here, you've got a building with an interesting fountain with jets of water kind of bouncing from area to area. That's certainly attractive, and I really like what you've done with the plants here. Now, you say there are several other color spots around the garden, and you've got one this year that's sort of a marquee.
Yes, the university celebrated its 75th anniversary, oh gosh, 2 years ago, I guess, and so we built a new color bed right on one of our busy streets. We refer to it as our 75th anniversary bed. That particular year we put a 75 in it using annual color, and then it changes each year. This year one of our horticulturists on staff designed it with hearts, so we change it out each year with color, and it's spectacular. It's just one of the show places on campus.
Okay, gets a lot of people's attention, I guess, when
Absolutely.
they pass by that area. Well, Steve, this certainly is gorgeous, and I want to see some more of the campus.
Sure,
Take a look at it.
Let's go.
All right. Well, Steve, there are certainly a lot of sidewalks and terraces, lots of hardscape on the campus here, and you've come up with a neat way to add color to these areas.
That's right. Probably one of the easiest ways we've added color would be to use the big containers, and they're not really terracotta. They're a kind of a fiberglass plastic look-alike that are, you know, really
lighter.
nice. Yes, and they take the winter too, so we put in pansies, overwinter them as well.
Okay, don't have to worry about those terracotta planters cracking.
That's right, yes.
Kind of falling apart. Okay, lots of color from flowering plants, foliage plants. Well, right over here I see you've got a bed of plants that gives you a lot of color. Can you tell us about this area?
Well, you know, with the half acre of seasonal color anyway, the last thing we need is more areas to have to plant each year. So we too have gone more and more to perennials, but we've used a lot of perennials and shrubs that have nice foliage color, so it still gives a season-long color, but we only have to plant them the one time. Now they still take care, of course, but this is a good example using the purple heart, which overwinters for us here, and then spirea, that's a chartreuse color as well.
Okay. All right, and that purple heart will overwinter in most of Oklahoma. Probably the southern half of the state, it's reliably a perennial. The northern parts, it comes back a lot of the years. Well, you guys have a lot of trees on campus here, and I was thinking that you consider this an arboretum, or it's called an arboretum?
Yes, we've worked to achieve that status. As a matter of fact, we have 1,122 trees.
Wow.
70 species, and the reason that we know that, we've spent the last 3 years through grant money from the Arkansas Forestry Commission doing inventories, trying to find out the health of the tree and the number of species that we have, and the height, and it just helps us to better manage the trees because it's so important to not plant, as you know, more than one species.
Right, a diverse
that's right, and
trees.
just to know how to take care of them, plus all the economic benefits and the beauty that they provide for the wildlife and the students and everyone else to enjoy.
Okay, so you've got a system of labels.
We do. We have a label on our feature trees, which would be different species or unique species or ones that may be the largest in the city of Fort Smith through a little contest that they've had. And then we have an arboretum link on our UA Fort Smith website where you can learn more about trees and which ones to plant in the area and about the ones. And then we have a tree guide for people who want to come and do a self-walking tour that shows some of the unique ones on campus too.
Okay, so I think a lot of people that live in the central eastern part of Oklahoma could come over here and walk around campus and get some ideas and see how some of these trees are performing, and go to that website.
Absolutely.
And get lots of information.
It's very
as well.
educational.
Okay, well, I know in that the tree guide on your website there, you talk about the trees that are well adapted to this area, and there are also a few that don't do so well here in Oklahoma as well.
That's right. For example, we know that the #1 species of trees on campus would be loblolly pine, but we also have a lot of Bradford pears, and you and I know that Bradford pears, after a few years can get in trouble with weak wooded trees falling apart, and just a few weeks ago, that's what happened to us. We have this beautiful building here with 4 large Bradford pears, and the wind swirled around and it snapped 3 of them, and we'd already lost one last year from a windstorm, so we've cut them down and have to dig them out and probably go back with Japanese maples or something.
Okay, something different than those Bradford pears. That is amazing that all 3 of them were snapped
at the same time, just fell apart, and these were some of the biggest ones I've ever seen, almost 3 stories high.
Wow.
And there's still some on the south side of the building that are in pretty good shape.
Okay. Well, beneath trees, we can do a couple of different ways of maintaining the landscape. We could obviously try to grow turf if it gets enough light, but there's some other ways to maintain these areas without turf. What's a good choice?
Well, with that many trees on campus, as they mature, less light, less turf grass, and so we're going to a lot of ground covers on campus. Some, take dry shade, some need a little bit more moisture, so they're irrigated, and this is a good example here under the crepe myrtles where we've used moneywort or golden moneywort, some creeping blue star, and also some Asiatic jasmine, which will overwinter for us here in Fort Smith area too.
And that makes an evergreen for you, the Asiatic jasmine?
It does. So we get some evergreen color, the nice chartreuse from the golden moneywort, and it overwinters in the mildest of winters for us pretty good, and then we get the early spring flowers from the creeping blue star and pretty much most of the summer.
Okay, well, it's easy to see on this gold moneywort here how sometimes in the shade that gold will revert back to the green. The lighter areas you still get that nice gold color. The blue star creeper we've got in our Japanese garden there at our studio in Stillwater, and we've been really pleased with it as a ground cover. Those really tiny leaves, and again those beautiful pale blue flowers in the springtime. I like the way you've got the huge mass of the blue star creeper here.
More of an impact, and we were talking too about the ground covers, and I had shown you some spots with the new parking lots too, where instead of turf grass that we have to mow on a weekly basis with all the cars parked around it, we're also going more to under the shaded areas, ground covers, but out in full sun too, some very drought tolerant shrubs and ground covers. So we're starting to use it even more in parking lots, so it's a low area, it's a safe area, but also very tough for those harsh parking lot sites.
Okay, a lot lower maintenance than turf grass.
Yes, absolutely. Don't have to trim and work them quite as many times.
All right, let's go take a look at some more planting areas.
Okay.
Well, Steve, on the campus here, there are a lot of formal plantings, lots of evergreens, lots of sheared plants. I know you guys spend a lot of time working on that, but there are also a few areas of perennials you're working on?
We're starting to incorporate more perennials in the landscape. We've especially around some of the new new buildings, but it's taken some time because, as you know, perennials can look a little weedy at times and maybe they don't bloom as often as they need to. So it's taken a little bit of time to get people to warm up to them, I guess.
Okay, well, are they warming up to this bed right here?
Absolutely. This used to be an area that was zoysia grass. It wasn't irrigated. It's a very small area. So you can imagine with all the students, when school's in session, it was just a problem from a maintenance standpoint. So we came in and killed out the zoysia grass. It took a while to do that. Added a little bit of organic matter, not too much, drip irrigation, and it's taken us 2 or 3 years to really find the right plants for this one because it gets so much shade in the morning and so much in the afternoon and hot sun during the day. So it's turned out well, and yes, people love it.
Okay, they're starting to really like it. We've done a great job here mixing in the different colors of plants, the different, not only the flowering color, but the foliage color, the different shapes, the forms of the plant. You've got a great mix here. You get lots of contrast from plant to plant, and it does create a lot of interest. What's the big hibiscus we've got down there on the end?
That's Kopper King. And it blooms a little bit later, but once it starts blooming, it blooms right up to the first frost. It's huge, big flowers, and then the foliage looks like a maple leaf, and they're purple when they first come out.
Okay, so a little bit of foliage color as well.
And that's the key to it, and the challenge, no doubt, is trying to come up with things that bloom early and consistently or at different times throughout the entire growing season. So it's taken a while to do that because perennials, some of them are short blooming, and so it's worked pretty nicely.
Okay. Well, like you said, this does look like a challenging spot here with the building on the east, the two-story building on the west as well, and you've had a little bit of a leaf scorch with one of the coral bells over there, but definitely got some things looking great here right now. Well, Steve, I was wondering what sort of a staff do you have to help you take care of this huge area?
We have 10 full-time grounds workers. 4 of them work on the mowing crew, 4 on the landscape. We have 1 that works strictly with irrigation. 80% of our campus is irrigated, which is
great.
Awesome. And then we have 1 who works with sidewalks and fountains and outside trash, and it's a great staff. I mean, I just give them all the accolades possible. They do a great job. They take pride, just like our administration. I mean, it's the first impression to our campus.
Okay, well, sounds like you got a great setup. And you've even got a couple of staff members with horticulture degrees?
Yes, I have 2 that have horticulture degrees, 1 actually from OSU and 1 from University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. Maiko Oishi and Holly Cherry, and they're horticulturists, and they're helping design some of the future gardens like we're looking at here.
Okay, so this will be a garden that they will put in, or
yes,
they will design this area?
Same thing, a little bit of zoysia grass, some overgrown Burford hollies, and we're going to make this the next phase of our perennial garden.
Okay, I think that will be outstanding. So Steve, what else is the future hold here? What's coming down the line as far as the grounds and the gardens here at University of Arkansas, Fort Smith?
We have an adjoining 8-9 acres that has, in the master plan, always been marked as a parking lot. And our chancellor and administration have always seen it as something else. So our next stage is actually to develop that into a botanical garden.
Wow. Okay, so you'll get to experience a lot more gardening and planting and
absolutely
designing.
We're very excited. Yes, we know in our heads what we want. We're just to the master plan stage, so it's very exciting.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to come back and see it again someday. I really appreciate you showing us around.
Thank you very much. Glad you came.
The tour of campus.
You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. Just want to let everybody know again that Steve's got this new revised edition of the Oklahoma Gardener's Guide, and it's out and available right now.